I have never been in close proximity with a vagina. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, baby. If you are a returning subscriber, then you're already on the vibe. But if this is your first time seeing my face, hi, my name is Kimberly. I am a fifth-year medical student and I create faith, medicine, and lifestyle-based content. So if that is something that you're interested in, please do join the family by clicking that subscribe button. Now, in today's video, I am going to be sharing with you guys my very first delivery in medical school. In the very first year of clinical rotations, we rotated through 4 departments. We rotated through surgery, pediatrics, internal medicine, and obstetrics and gynecology. And that was the first year of clinicals, which was in my 4th year. And the department where you are required to actually go into the labor ward and do deliveries is obstetrics and gynecology. And you have a logbook for each and every department, which basically includes the list of procedures that you need to perform as a student. At the end of the rotation, you hand in your logbook to the senior consultant, which is the head of the department of that rotation, and he basically marks your logbook. So every single procedure that you do in that rotation, be it withdrawing blood, be it clerking a patient, be it inserting a catheter, whatever procedure you do, you record it in your logbook and it counts for marks. Now, as a 4th-year medical student, we were required to observe 10 deliveries and we were required to perform 5 deliveries by ourselves. And each delivery was like, I think it was also out of 10. I don't remember correctly whether it was out of 10 or out of 5. But at the end, you were supposed to be graded for that delivery by the person, by either the nurse who was in charge, and at the end the consultant is the one who's going to give you your final mark. Now obviously deliveries were not the only things in the logbook. Like I mentioned, there were other things as well, but one thing that I was definitely scared of was doing my own deliveries, going into the labor ward. So I remember going to the labor ward the very first day of obstetrics and gynecology, and I was not ready for that. Like, yes, I know that a baby came out of a vagina and all, even I came out of the vagina, but I've only like read about it. I don't even think about a baby coming out of a vagina, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I don't even picture it. So you can imagine on my very first day in the department, we go to the labor ward. I'm seeing this woman, she's lying on the bed. There are medical students and nurses surrounding her, and her legs are open. And I'm like, am I supposed to be watching this? Am I supposed to be here? Because there's no way, guys. Are we not invading her privacy or something? Guys, I promise you, nothing prepares you for your first. And mind you, this was just an observation. We were just watching. I wasn't even touching anything. I wasn't even doing anything. I wasn't going to hold the baby or hold the woman. This was the very first day and we were just observing. And already I felt as if I was traumatized. Because guys, nothing prepares you for that. Nothing literally prepares you for that. So I remember we went into the labor ward and this woman, her legs are open. And everybody's telling her to push. You know, and I'm like, I think I should leave. I think I did leave. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. The very first time in the labor ward, I didn't stay in there for more than 10 minutes because I really couldn't. I don't know. I just couldn't be there, which is so crazy because I wasn't doing anything. We were just expected to watch, but for some reason, watching was just too much for me. And that was the beginning of my fear because I was like, if I'm afraid to watch a baby come into the world, how the hell am I going to perform the 5 deliveries that I'm supposed to perform by myself? From the beginning, I felt like, okay, 5 deliveries in 2 months and I have to observe 10. I feel like I can do it. But guys, I kid you not when I say that those 8 weeks started feeling as if it's not enough. I just could not overcome my fear. I was so afraid of making a mistake. I was so afraid of not doing it correctly. And mind you, this is a life we're talking about. This is a newborn baby. anything could go wrong. And as usual, as medical students, we always think of the worst case scenario. So even though at the beginning 8 weeks felt as if, oh, 8 weeks is a lot for me to gather the courage and do my first delivery, when the time came, guys, it took me 6 weeks for me to do my deliveries. Mind you, we are all medical students, right? And we're all required to do 5 deliveries. And we also had seniors, and we also had students from other medical schools. And we all need to do those deliveries in order for us to pass that rotation. Because if you don't pass your rotation, you cannot go on to the next year. So this was of utmost importance. So all of us as medical students, guys, you can just imagine how many medical students, who every pregnant woman that comes, guys, booked for delivery. Everyone is just trying to what? We're just trying to book for deliveries. There are 3 deliveries that I literally booked. I remember I saw the ambulance and I literally ran for my life, guys. I ran for that ambulance and I was like, booked for delivery. And along the way, I got cold feet and I didn't do that delivery. The same thing happened to me for 3 or 4 times where I booked the delivery. I couldn't sum up enough courage for me to actually do the delivery. So I kept on pushing it and pushing it and pushing it until it was week 6. It's week 6. I have 2 weeks left in the rotation and I have 0 deliveries. This is where now I'm like, you know what? If I don't do these deliveries, I am not going to pass this rotation. And if I fail this rotation, I'm going to repeat it, you know. So because of that, I had to force myself to overcome my fear. I was like, you know what, girl, you've already observed. And mind you, at this point in time, it's 6 weeks, right, into the rotation. I have 2 weeks left. I have observed all 10 and even more than 10 deliveries. I have booked about 4 or 5 deliveries that I never got the courage to do. I have 2 weeks left in the rotation. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. You get, let's do it. So I remember I decided to sleep it was a Friday, right? And I decided to sleep in the hospital because I was really afraid of performing a delivery while other medical students were watching. Because what if I make a mistake, or what if I don't know what I'm doing? And medical, you know, like I didn't want to do my deliveries in front of other students. I'll just feel more pressure, especially it being the first time of me actually doing this by myself. So I decided that, you know what, I'm going to do it over the weekend when there are no medical students in the hospital, and I'm going to do it at night. So Friday I came, I was ready. I went to school on a Friday, right? And then I came back home, and then I went back to the hospital around 18 hours with my food packed, everything. I was prepared to sleep in the hospital. I got there. The night was really quiet, to be honest. Like there was absolutely no deliveries throughout the entire night. I was in the hospital. There were no deliveries, no pregnant woman, no one entered into labor. There was no emergency, no ambulance. It was just a really, really quiet night. It's 5 a.m. in the morning, going towards 6 o'clock. And it's now Saturday morning. And now I'm looking at the time. I'm like, you know what? I give up. I've slept in the hospital. Nothing is happening now. Nothing is happening. Let me go home and then I'll come back. Just when I'm about to leave the hospital, guys, I reach the gate. There's an ambulance coming. I don't know. And the thing is, the ambulance, if an ambulance comes, right, it's not always a pregnant woman. There's maybe a road traffic accident, an emergency, a referral. But for some reason, I started running. This is me, guys, panting, running after an ambulance. And I was like, you know what? I already slept in the hospital because I was looking for a delivery. Let me see. Maybe I can get lucky. So I go, I run. Once I reach, there were a few medical students that also wanted to do their delivery. So we were like 3 that slept in the hospital. Then I was like, I literally meet them at the door and I was like, oh no, this delivery is what? This delivery is mine. That was my very first delivery. I was very scared, but I was like, you know what? Let me do it. So I booked the delivery. I took the woman to the ward. She was a referral from a nearby village. So, and I think they referred her because she was anemic. She had severe anemia. So they tend to refer such cases. She had severe anemia, and she was a 15-year-old girl. Guys, if I tell you that when I found out that this girl was 15 years old, I wanted to not do the delivery, because if you guys know, or if you don't know, the younger the age, especially as a teenager, you've not fully developed. So those are what we call high risk pregnancy. She's very young, not fully developed, and she has severe anemia. And I'm like, I'm not really ready for a complicated delivery. God, please. Let my delivery not be, you get my point, because there's a high risk of fetal death or maternal death. And I'm like, God, please. This is my very first delivery. It cannot be a complicated one. You understand? So I booked her for delivery. I took her straight into the labor room, right? I took her straight into the labor room. I made her feel comfortable, and she didn't have support, and I had to be with her. And mind you, I'm an international student. There's a communication barrier, but she was able to communicate in a bit of English here and there. And this was 6 a.m. in the morning. If you know, if it's your first time giving birth, right, the progress of labor takes longer. Guys, she was already crying. I'm looking at this baby girl. She's already crying. She's complaining. She wants to push. Guys, she's only 1 centimeter dilated. And for us to for delivery to occur, 1 centimeter is not enough. She needs to be 4 centimeters dilated. She's at 1 centimeter, and that time the dilation process is taking so much time. I booked it around 6 a.m. and I stayed with her throughout the whole day. I was buying her food, I was buying her water, because she didn't have any family that was there, and the grandmother had left. She said she was gonna come back later. So I felt like she was my responsibility. This girl only entered into labor around 17, 18, that same Saturday. That's when they actually induced the process and made the process to go faster. Like the fetal heart rate, when we were monitoring it, it was starting to fluctuate in a funny way. So the nurse that was going to be there, the midwife, we decided to okay, let's speed up the process. We decided to induce labor, right? And now I'm just rubbing her. Now the time comes, and the nurse gets in, right? The midwife. Now the midwife that I had been with throughout the whole day was a female. She knocked off, and then the midwife that I was with me was a male, and he was very strict. He was very tough, and was like, this is your delivery. You booked this delivery. How many deliveries have you observed? And I was like, around 10. I was like, yeah. So you know what you're doing. And then he was like, okay, so now we're in labor. What are you going to do? I wore my gloves. I wore my apron. I'm getting ready. We're telling her to push. Guys, I'm looking at... I have never been in close proximity with a vagina like... I'm laughing, but guys, I was shaking. My hands were shaking. And the thoughts in my head was like, the vagina is a powerful organ, because what is happening, And she's pushing. Next thing, now she wants to start closing her leg because the pain was too much. Now she wants to stop pushing. And also because this was a first delivery, she was a 15-year-old girl. When we kept on saying push, she didn't know what it means. And that's actually something that I've realized, that people that give birth for the first time, you're saying push, they think that they're pushing, but they're really not pushing. And I can't even explain it to her, because I've never given birth and I don't know what it means to push. And we just kept on push. And then she started closing her legs, but the head of the baby was literally by the vagina, and we're like, don't. So now the nurse steps in. He's like, you need to be firm, otherwise this baby will die. And I'm like, what? He literally starts slapping the woman so that she don't close your legs, push, guys. And then we saw that the baby wasn't coming out, so the nurse had to take a Caesar and perform an episiotomy, where they basically just make a small cut there by the vagina, usually behind, to just increase so that the baby can come out. You get? So they made a small cut there, and then the baby came out. But the baby wasn't crying. And I know from studying and watching that if the baby is not crying, that's a bad sign. But literally, the baby was really not really none of my business. But I am the doctor, so I just removed the baby, and then I gave the baby to the midwife, right? So I remember I took the baby. I gave the baby to the midwife, and I'm trying to think what I've read in the textbook. Okay, what's next? What are the stages of labor? Okay, after doing this, what do you do? I'm like, hey, bruv, forget the textbook. Do what you think you should do. And the nurse is looking at me, is like, what next are you going to do? Huh? The life is in your hands. He was putting me under so much pressure, guys. And I'm like, I'm just a girl. I'm literally just there I'm just a girl, sir. Please calm down. And then, because I feel as he was putting me under pressure, I started forgetting the next step. And it's you know what, Kimberly? And the day before, I had been studying the stages of labor, and there's a huge difference with you studying labor and being in that labor ward and holding that baby. You get stuck. Mind you guys, it's my first time. I got so stuck, I was like, what's next? And then I take the clamp. I clamp. I remember that they say 2 centimeters away. Guys, I had memorized my notes from the book. 2 centimeters away, clamp, and the next thing I was very scared about that whole clamping of the umbilical cord, because that's a very, very serious part of delivery. Then I clamped and then I cut. Then she was like, next thing, you're being slow. What next are you supposed to do? I look at him and I'm like, that time I feel like crying, because when I'm under pressure, guys, my tears are here. I'm looking at him, I'm like, you give oxytocin. Then give oxytocin. What are you waiting for? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I take the oxytocin, because the oxytocin is like, it's supposed to help the uterus like contract. It's supposed to contract so that the bleeding stops. Otherwise, the mother of the child is going to bleed to death if she continues to bleed. You understand? So I take the oxytocin, I inject in a thigh. I remember they were saying everything was from the textbook, guys. I was just doing everything I learned in the textbook as it is. I put it in. Next thing, I'm like, okay, what next do you do? I'm like, you massage the uterus. Massage the uterus. What are you waiting for? Then the next part now, guys. That's when I was like, this man, I looked at the midwife he was just watching. He was like, what's next? I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh, we're supposed to make sure that there's nothing in the vagina. We're supposed to sweep the walls of the uterus as well. Now, I have seen it, but I've never done it. And in my head, I'm like, so you mean that I must take my hands, these hands that I used to eat rice and chicken, and I must put them inside the vagina and sweep? And I'm like, and I was so afraid of putting, guys, I did not know that my entire hand, guys, are you seeing my hand? This entire hand, I had no idea that it could fit inside the vagina. I put my entire hand and it went in, and I was sweeping the uterus and taking out whatever was remaining so that the woman can stop bleeding. So I went in and I was going in and I was removing and I was removing. At first I was scared because I thought like maybe I'm going to damage something inside there. But then I was like, sweep the uterus. And then I swept the uterus. After that, when she stopped bleeding, that's when, because I'm just a junior, I'm a medical student, I have not yet done suturing before. So remember the cut that we had made at the beginning so that the baby would come out? That's when they were like, okay, you know what? The midwife came in and made some sutures. And after that, guys, I just took, and then it was like, there you go. You're done with your first delivery, you know? So after that, that was it, guys. I did my first delivery and I felt so accomplished. Guys, I kid you not. I felt so accomplished. I even told my parents that I did my first delivery. Guys, I just felt like, you know what? Maybe medicine is for me. You know, I feel like that was definitely a confident booster because I was so afraid. But everything really, it went well, you know. So everything that I learned in the textbook, everything that I learned in the tutorials, I literally applied it, and things happened more or less the same way as they do in the textbook, you know. So it definitely boosted my confidence. And then after that, guys, I was about to leave. That it's Saturday night now, remember, right? So, and I was about to leave so that I go home because I've done my first delivery. Next thing, I see another delivery, I book it. I see another one, I book it. So that same Saturday night, I didn't go home. That first delivery boosted my confidence that I ended up booking 2 more deliveries on that same Saturday. On that same Saturday. The only time I went home was on Monday morning. Remember, I went to the hospital on Friday and I went home Monday morning. That's when I was going back. And that weekend, I managed to do 3 deliveries. And remember, I needed to do 5 deliveries for my logbook. So it only took me 3 days, literally just a weekend, for me to do 3 deliveries. And I had like 2 weeks left. And that's when I was like, you know what? Maybe I got this. Maybe I got this. That was how my first delivery went. It was crazy. It was a bit scary here and there. But once I just applied the things that I learned and there was a midwife to just step in, I think that also gave me like calmness, that if I happen to do a mistake or something goes wrong, there's a midwife who was standing by to just come and what? and take over. So yeah, guys, that was my very first experience in the labor ward as a fourth year medical student, very first time. And that's how it went, guys. So I basically made this video just to encourage other medical students out there. Maybe you're about to start with your clinical rotations, or maybe you just started with your clinical rotations and you have some fears and reservations when it comes to doing your very first deliveries. And I'm just here to tell you that it's okay to be afraid. It's okay for you to not have everything figured out, but don't let it stop you from doing those deliveries.